through your research, how do you see the brother of Hussein, Abu Fadhil Al-Abbas?
So Al-Abbas, and I've just really begun to research him, and with difficulty, as we discussed, because the primary texts are quite few, but we'll see how it goes. Abbas, in one sense for me, is the antidote to egotism. Because the world in which we live, and I'm not saying the West, I'm saying the world as a whole, is quite egotistic. It's the me generation. We think a great deal about me, about my needs, my rights, my standard of living. We concentrate very much on self. And here you have an example of a man who deliberately ignored his own self for the needs of others, most especially the young girls who were crying out for water. And so, I think all of these people are exemplars of something. And in living in a generation where we are selfish, we really do think about ourselves, our comfort, our needs. Real humility is not thinking less about yourself. That's not humility. It's just thinking about yourself less. It's a different thing, and that's real humility. And so the humility of Abbas, with standing with his ankles in the water, refusing his own urgent desires and natural desires, because thirst is a natural desire, because he was in such a hurry to deal with the needs of others who were less able to help themselves. That's an extraordinary thing in society, where somebody doesn't just give up anything but his own rights, because really, thirst and the quenching of thirst is a human thing, and we have a right to water and to quench our thirst. The fact that people would give up their own rights for the needs of others, that's extraordinary. He wasn't giving up some casual thing. He wasn't giving up something that wasn't that necessary, but he wanted. He was giving up a fundamental right for the needs of others. So he's an antidote to egotism. He's an antidote to the sort of selfish society in which we live, where people basically are thinking of themselves first. I'll think about others, but me first. It's the me first generation. I'll look after the poor, but after I've dealt with myself. I'll care for, my elderly mother, or I'll look after my brother who hasn't got a job, but first I need to make sure that I'm all right. That's the sort of generation we live in. Not everybody, but many.
Of course. Yeah.
And Abbas is a perfect antidote to that he gave up his rights, not just something casual, and his life, of course, as well, trying to care for. In many cases, depending on which narrative you read, he was trying to fetch water for some girls and some children, he knew that Sukaina, I think, was desperately thirsty. So it wasn't as if he was giving up his rights for some important person, some world leader. It was for a little girl whom he loved and whose need he wanted to try to satisfy. That's an extraordinary thing. There's such a tenderness. They say that when he rode his horse, his legs used to drag on the ground because he was a big guy. But he has a tenderness about him that is extraordinary. I think he gets it from his mother, probably. But it's an extraordinary tenderness. It's like a gentle giant, Abbas. And he's the sort of person we all want in our lives. We all want someone like that, the gentle giant who you can rely on and trust. And I think he's going to prove, I know nothing about him yet, but he's going to prove to be a very interesting character and an outstanding. He's going to be sort of a parallel of Zainab for me, that sort of masculine side of the heroism of Karbala.
We look forward very much to your book on Al-Abbas, peace be upon him. Specifically, you mentioned, he gets that from his mother. That's a moving line, and it's so true. A lot of what we see in Karbala is the role of his mother in bringing him up. That role where, she would always tell him, make sure you don't call Hussein by his name, but call him my master. Don't call him brother, call him my master, and she teaches him that loyalty. So I look very much forward to the publication of your, hopefully, I'm guessing it will be the fourth book. Is it the next one?
Yeah.